Here's an experiment for you. Take passionate experts in human resource technology. Invite cross-industry experts from inside and outside HR. Mix in what's happening in people analytics today. Give them the technology to connect. Hit record. Pour their discussions into a beaker. Mix thoroughly. And voila, you get the HR Data Labs podcast, where we explore the impact of data and analytics to your business. We may get passionate and even irreverent, but count on each episode challenging and enhancing your understanding of the way people data can be used to solve real-world problems. Now, here's your host, David Turetsky.
Hello and welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast. I'm your host, David Turetsky, here at the HR Tech Conference 2023, and I'm here with my best friends from Sapient Insights, Susan Richards and Teri Zipper. Hello, both of you.
Hello, David.
Hey, David.
They're sharing a mic, so this is going to be a lot of fun today. And since we're at a conference, there's going to be a lot of ambient noise. So I think a lot of people know about Sapient. Anything new that we might want to bring to the fore as to what's going on with Sapient?
We have a new service offering.
Awesome. What is it?
Yeah, we have launched our coaching and leadership development offering in middle of 2023.
Awesome.
We'll be building that out over the next year or so, offering leadership development and executive coaching and mid-level manager coaching.
That's excellent.
Assessments and all of the fun that you need to know about when you're learning to lead people.
That's great. A lot of leaders need help.
Yeah, and you know that's the exact reason that we chose to launch this. We had many of our clients come to us for change management help during big transformations, and they got a little taste of the kind of coaching and mentorship that we can offer, and they didn't want to let us go.
Aww. You guys are really good, so that's why.
Well, you know, I think we kind of might be.
You found a good formula.
I think so. You know, just being down to earth and pragmatic, and telling it to the clients in plain language, and not using a lot of big crazy words, and not jumping onto every bandwagon that comes down the pike.
It's almost being like an anti-consultant, because consultants try and sell everything to everybody.
Yeah, I love that. We also have some news for the Friday launch, which will be old news by the time people hear this, but it might be new news to some people. One of the really interesting things that'll be coming out in the survey data on Friday that we're going to want to look out for is the fact that in 2023, 40% of the HR professionals have between 1 and 3 years of experience.
Wow. That's dramatic.
Yes.
That means there's been an influx of a lot of people into HR.
And an outflow of a lot of people. So last year, the people with 10 plus years of experience fell off a cliff.
Wow.
In terms of numbers, and that trend is continuing. Yeah.
So have you gotten any reasons why of this exodus? Because that's huge.
So I think we need to dig into the data a little bit further to see what's going on there. But I would attribute a lot of it to literally the last couple of years.
Yeah. Post-pandemic burnout.
It's put on people. It's a burnout. A lot of, mental health challenges. People,
Absolutely.
HR is sort of, I wouldn't say they're responsible for looking out for mental health, but it's something that's on their radar to take care of.
Yeah.
And at the same time, who's looking out for them?
Right. I think we heard a lot about this in the nursing industry too, where the nurses, certainly during the pandemic, totally burnt out. You didn't expect that from the HR group, although the HR group really took a lot on their shoulders during the pandemic and right after it as well.
Yeah.
So
I absolutely did it.
It doesn't seem shocking, but it is kind of shocking.
It is, and it'll be interesting to see what that means for the next couple of years as these people get their legs and really start to learn, what HR is all about.
It may mean that we're going to have a lot of work to do to be able to shore up that capability.
Yeah. We do a lot of work with teaching new HR IT professionals how to build an HR technology strategy.
Good.
And what we're seeing is just a hunger for more of that.
Right.
Because there's really not a good place for those folks who are coming into the industry and who are now starting to move from doer roles into leader roles. They don't have a good place or a good infrastructure to learn that. They're learning it on the job.
Yeah.
And learning it from from people who are walking out the door.
Yeah.
Who are exhausted.
Right.
And either may not have a whole lot of energy to do that knowledge transfer, and they may be transferring knowledge that this new generation is not really interested in following. No. I think we're going to see a lot of upheaval and a lot of fun and innovation over the next couple of years as Gen Z gets their feet under them and really step into those those analyst roles, and they're going to question why we did a whole bunch of stuff that we did and why we can't do it differently.
I know we're kind of blending into where we're going to take the topic, so I might reserve another comment that I have, which might lead to what you just talked about, which is the way in which the work might transition over time. So I'm going to park that for a second.
I just got tabled.
Because of one thing, because you know what's coming. What's the one fun thing that no one knows about both of you? You got to do it. Happens every episode. You remember we did this last time.
I don't know what I said last time.
That's because you're not supposed to remember, so you're supposed to give us something new, Susan.
I know what I said, because it's the only thing I think that's interesting and funny about so I don't want to say the same thing again, so I got to think of something else. You go first.
So the one fun thing about me is I have 3 doodles. I have a Bernedoodle and a Golden Doodle.
Got it.
And a Poodle Doodle.
A Poodle Doodle?
A Poodle Doodle. They're all rescues, and they all came to live with me within the last year. And they're all puppies about the same age, and they keep me on my toes.
That's awesome. You're going to have to send me a picture so I can put it on the show notes so that people can see those doodles. I will absolutely do that.
Ollie, Stella, and Theo.
So I have 2 rescues. One's a pug, and one's a pug, Norwegian Elk Hound, Rat Terrier, and Boxer mix.
Oh,
I did the 23andMe for the dogs.
Oh my gosh! Well, we'll have to have a puppy play date.
Absolutely, I'd love that. I love that. We have to try and find a good place to meet for that. But yeah.
Well, my puppies love Zoom. They absolutely love Zoom. It absolutely cracks me up. Wow. I'll be on a Zoom call and they will hear my tone of voice change. And all of a sudden, they're all 3 in the camera shot because they know that I'm getting ready to get off the call. And when I'm done with the call, that means it's time to play.
Right. All right, Teri, it's your turn.
Oh, my gosh. I'm a biker.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's about the most interesting thing I can think of about myself.
Cool thing.
It is cool.
I love to bike.
How many miles a day do you bike?
It depends on, a work week I'm biking maybe 10 miles, but if it's the weekend, 20 to 30.
That's amazing.
So maybe 50 to 100 a week, depending on the week. But I just, I love doing it. I've been doing it since, I'll tell you, we lived in Okinawa for 3 years when we were first married.
Okay.
And we didn't have a way to get around, so we bought bikes.
That's awesome.
And we rode those bikes everywhere around that island.
Wow.
It was wonderful. And it just stuck.
Well, Japan has a bike culture, too.
They do. Okinawa, a little less so.
Oh, really? Okay.
But, the people only drive there like 17 miles an hour. It's like most of the speed limit was 35 clicks.
Oh, wow.
So, you didn't really have to worry about getting run over. Right. And at the time, people didn't have cell phones, so you also didn't have to worry about that.
So it was a long time ago.
It was a while.
Yeah. So let's transition back to what you were talking about, Susan, which is...
Hi, I'm Carmen Hudson. I'm the host of the Recruiting Book Club, and we're starting our 2nd season. I'm so excited to bring to you another set of guests of recruiters who have written books. We are excited to have some very special guests this season. We've got Shally, we've got Craig Fisher, James Ellis, and quite a few other people that we're going to bring on board to tell us about what they wrote, why they wrote it, and maybe we'll veer off into a conversation about recruiting on all types of topics and subjects that happen in our industry. So I hope you can join us. I'm excited.
The world at work for HR is going to change.
Yeah.
And one of the keys that I've been talking about, especially at this show, is we see artificial intelligence on every single booth here at the HR Tech Show. And one of the things you're talking about is because the cultural aspect of the people who are populating HR now, they don't want to do the stuff that we used to do.
No, they don't.
Or the stuff we still do today.
No, they don't. And they question every single day, why are you doing it that way?
Right. Which isn't the wrong question to
No,
ask.
it's not. I love those questions.
Because we can give that to the robots. The robots can do some of that valueless, maybe not completely valueless.
It's stuff that's got to get done.
It's got to get done.
And if it doesn't get done correctly, then HR loses credibility. So
Absolutely.
we want it done consistently,
Right.
efficiently, and effectively.
And there's no reason that the AI can't do that stuff.
100%.
And so what's fascinating is think back to the old way we used to do things. I used to do personnel action forms. I used to audit them at Morgan Stanley. Somebody used to send one to me, and as compensation, I used to review the grades, I used to review the ranges, the person's pay, see their job description, all that stuff. And then I used to sign it when I approved it, or sign the denied and send it back to them in the manila envelope with that extremely secure string around it. Oh, yes,
that string, the red string.
The red string.
Did you ever put it in a red envelope?
Well, we had the stamps that you could put in the envelope that was mostly secured by a piece of tape. And then you put urgent and confidential on it from two separate stamps with a red pad, right? Remember that?
Oh my goodness, I wish I didn't.
But we used to do this, and it was all manual. And then when we developed our HRIT, what did we do? We took that personnel action form exactly as it used to be, and we used to just put it in the system.
We digitized it.
Exactly. But we didn't set up the validation tables at that point. They didn't exist. We just put it into a workflow. We asked them to fill it out. It was still all wrong. But it went through either remember it was Lotus Notes that it went through or whatever that system was. I forget what the other system was at the time, but Lotus Notes was really made for that HR workflow crap. Remember that? But we at least routinized it. We made it more efficient because we didn't have to do the paper, but it was still all wrong. And then we made those validation tables associated with it. We put validation rules on it. But it was still exactly the same. In fact, it kind of still got transmitted similarly. Yes. You see where I'm going here, right?
I think I know where you're going.
So this evolution has now gotten us to have the robot do it all. Still the same process. Still the same bullshit. Still the same stuff we did in 1989, 1990, 1995. But now we're just having them do it all instead of completely rethinking the process.
Right.
Until the robot doesn't want to do it anymore. It's sentient and says, hey, I don't want to do this BS anymore.
Why are we the robot is going to come to you, Teri, and go, Teri, why are we doing it this way? Why don't we just eliminate this process and just let them do what they want to do?
Why do we need all this stuff?
Right.
And then you say, thank you very much, robot. Your position has been eliminated. And then the robot's going to take revenge.
But that's an interesting point because you gave the robot a position. And in a lot of the conversations I've been talking to people about, one of the things I've been talking about is humanizing the AI to actually have a budget for it, give it a position, give it a name, and actually, and I mean, when I mean humanize, I mean literally put it in a position, put rules around it, have it have a job to do. Because we're going to have some rules of engagement with it. We're going to have things that go around it. And the way in which we rationalize that is by having a job with a job description, with pay rates. And it's not going to be free. AI is never free. Nothing, even technology-wise, nothing's ever free. Am I painting a picture that kind of gives that millennial what they want out of not doing those jobs?
I don't know.
It's not millennials. It's Gen Z,
Gen
right?
Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, the millennials
Can't blame the millennials on this.
The millennials are starting to take charge.
Yes.
And they're the ones who are saying, we don't want to do this the same way anymore. Right. And, my my generation, our generation, is starting to step out the door and go live on the beach.
If we can.
Sounds like a really good idea.
It really does.
And the millennial generation is, I think, the first generation to really push back and challenge. Now, the institution may not be ready to give up the norms and the processes that have been embedded into all of the fabulous systems that we've all purchased and implemented designed. And have designed all of those manual processes into automation. So it very well could be that our Gen Z colleagues come in and ask the question, why are we doing it this way, and blow the whole thing up.
I knew you were going to say that. Blow that whole thing up.
Just blow the whole thing up and start over. That may be the next generation of the rip and replace in systems.
But the problem is, one of the reasons why we did that, one of the motivations doing all of this stuff was purely because we had regulations we had to follow. And there were artifacts we needed to create and things we needed to do to support those regulations and report on those issues and get us all done. Because we need transactions in order to be able to do that, especially from a SOX compliance perspective. Right. So how does that happen in a world where we blow this shit up?
Maybe we need less regulation.
Yeah. But you know what? The funny thing about that is the regulations right now are being pointed on the AI to not enable AI, to put guardrails around it.
Well, we're trying to save people's jobs, right? I mean,
do you really think that's
how
the motivation?
It's being positioned.
But do you really think that's the motivation for control of the AI?
Yeah,
I don't
think
so what is it?
And I think we already have, rules around this in some regard. So think about Alexa and Siri and the other, AI things that we have responding to our ever changing needs, like, call my mom or set my alarm or, hey, play some music. You have to interface with them in a certain way.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they don't like it.
Right.
And they've been programmed to not like it and not respond.
But they're also not as smart as the generative AI that's being displayed now and being developed now. They're much stupider because they're consumer facing.
Yes.
And frankly, we just don't know how to use them. We were given them, but not told how to use them.
When have we ever had instructions for doing anything, though, really? I mean...
But that's the interesting part. A lot of the technology we've gotten never needed anything. The one thing that was really funny about what Steve Jobs said, I think it was Steve, or no, maybe it was Tim Cook at that point, about the iPad. Analysts asked him, what's the purpose of the iPad? Isn't it just a bigger iPhone? And he said, that's up to the user to decide. And it's been one of the most popular platforms they ever built.
Yeah.
For no reason, other than to say it was a bigger platform.
Yeah.
Let's let the consumer decide.
Well, and that particular item is interesting because that was the one interface that brought my dad, who was a Luddite, like he didn't want to have anything to do with the computer, never had an email address, never touched the computers that I gave my mom.
Right.
And the day I brought an iPad over there, he figured that thing out in, 2 seconds and was surfing the web and thought it was the greatest thing ever. So it brought the internet to the people who had been separated from it because it was too big of a leap for them to understand how to use. The generation gap was too big from how they'd grown up.
That's interesting, Teri. My mother, same situation. She's worn out 3 iPads.
Yeah.
And the woman would not touch a computer.
Apple had a phenomenal ad. You had a little kid who was playing with their iPad, and the mom sees the little kid playing with the iPad on the ground outside and says, hey, honey, can you put the computer down and come do something else? And she said, what's a computer?
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking subscribe. This podcast is made possible by Salary.com. Now, back to the show.
In the context of generations that never grew up with a computer, they've only grown up with the iPad, it's been a completely different paradigm.
Yeah.
And now, my son's 11 years old. he had an iPod Touch and an iPad since the day he was born. The day he was born. Me, I had to wait until I was what? In my late 30s, early 40s, until the touch, computing revolution happened.
Yeah. I mean, think of the, numbers of people in jobs where they don't sit at a computer every day and didn't for 20, 30 years. So people even in our own generation couldn't use computers.
Right.
But the iPad sort of bridged that gap.
Yeah.
And I think as we look forward to the next couple of years, and there is another interesting tidbit in the survey that's coming out on Friday, that HR is not spending money on AI right now.
That's fascinating given the fact that every single booth at HR Tech has the words artificial intelligence. I literally am being very serious. Every single one of these booths say AI everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that means they're shooting completely blanks at this moment.
Or they're telling people that it's just embedded in the subscription price and you get it for free.
But they don't need it.
I haven't found a use case for it yet.
Right.
But that's interesting. What's the use case? Is it what you were talking about before, Susan? I don't want to do that work. I want something else to do that work. Can it do it for me? I don't think the answer is yes right now. Is it?
I don't know.
I think it tends to be late adopters to everything, partly because of the amount of compliance and legal challenges that they face all the time.
Right.
They have some
risk averse.
temerity,
yeah,
for sure.
Well, and then we have the problem of the auditability of decisions that possibly get made by AI in HR.
And who then ultimately is responsible, and where does the buck stop?
Who configured the AI? Who runs the AI system? Who programmed it?
Are we going to blame the consultants?
Well, so there's actually a court case going on right now about one of the biggest players here, that's actually the smallest booth, they're getting sued by people who did not get invited to participate in a recruitment process because they were automatically filtered out using artificial intelligence. That's one of those cases that could blow the doors off of this, especially for that use case, and make people very risk averse, or who are normally risk averse, as you say, from ever touching this.
And then I go back to the next generation of HR professionals who didn't grow up in a compliance environment. There's a push toward empathetic HR.
Sure.
And empathetic leadership, and our next generation of workers, employees, and leaders are expecting that, and they're expecting to be able to break some of those rules in order to be empathetic and be good leaders. So,
are they expecting to be empathetic?
Yeah.
Encourage empathy?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, because right now, corporations just don't give a shit about their employees.
I hear you. And I also hear that very large wave that has entered the workplace that is demanding it.
Hence why HR is so burnt out, because they've been trying to deliver empathy, and the organization as a whole has not supported that culture.
Well, think about all the layoffs that have just happened because investments were made right after the pandemic and they didn't pan out. And so the CEOs cut that staff back tremendously.
Yeah.
They get their bonus. The CEOs get their bonus, and those people are out on the street. And we saw this happen famously with certain companies. But there's no empathy there. And the boards have no empathy because the boards are still awarding crazy compensation packages to the C-suite.
And those organizations, the vast majority of those organizations, are going to have to learn through trial by fire. When the productivity drops, when when people walk out the door, and they become free agents, freelancers, gig workers, where you don't have to deal with the cultures that are embedded that are not empathetic. I believe there is a shift coming, and organizations who, I mean, you can be empathetic and still hold people accountable.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think organizations that figure that out quickly are the ones who are going to be successful in the next 3, 5, 10 years.
But just to touch on that, Susan, empathy is, to my interpretation, someone who tries and fails doesn't get fired.
Correct.
They get trained, or they use that failure as a learning mechanism for being successful next time.
Right.
Failure doesn't necessarily mean you're fired.
Right.
But we've seen way too much of that, especially recently.
We have an entire, we have 3 generations in the workforce right now that have been brainwashed and also seen what happens to their colleagues when they fail. Failure is not an option. It's not accepted. It's not encouraged. And if you do fail, you find a way to CYA.
Exactly.
So that it doesn't land.
Yeah.
It doesn't land in your lap.
Do we have any blame here for Wall Street and for the rise and the risks that investors have kind of put companies' feet to the fire for? No failure, constant growth, constant profitability, instead of, being a mensch or being good people and just taking normal profits that we learned about in college and, not expecting crazy shit every quarter.
Well, they're addicted to the profit.
And it's gambling. Wall Street's gambling. It always was.
It really is. And we see now here in Las Vegas how many people like to gamble.
Yes, I'm one of them.
But if you have a problem, you can call 1-800.
Yes, you can. There are places that you can seek help.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I think we're not going to fix Wall Street.
No.
So I like to stick to the problems we can work on.
Sure.
Wall Street is definitely not one of them.
Right.
Although that's not to say that this next generation won't fix it through some of the things that they do and change within these organizations. Because I think you're right. I mean, you can't expect to make this, the same level of profits year over year over year without doing things that don't necessarily make sense.
Right.
It's not possible. And so maybe there will be some changes at the board levels that start to have some impact on how that gets viewed down the road. But I think that's going to start at the organization level, not in Wall Street.
No, it's not. We're not going to be able to change Wall Street culture like that. Hey, are you listening to this and thinking to yourself, man, I wish I could talk to David about this? Well, you're in luck. We have a special offer for listeners of the HR Data Labs podcast. A free half-hour call with me about any of the topics we cover on the podcast or whatever is on your mind. Go to salary.com/HRDL consulting to schedule your free 30-minute call today. But the last piece that I certainly wanted to try and touch on, which we haven't touched on yet at all yet, is climate change and how those people that you're talking about, Susan, feel about the Earth. And they feel like we've totally screwed it up and they have to do something to fix it. And if they don't, this planet's going to hell in a handbasket anyways, but it's going to go faster.
Yeah. It's interesting. We did some research with one of our colleagues at Kick Motor.
Yep.
And it was around ESG and looking at what just the regular employee thinks about ESG. And it was a survey. We had 500 participants, and from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, all races, all education levels, and all employment levels. I mean, it was one of the most well-balanced sample groups that I've ever seen. And the one thing, as I was reading through the data, the thing that jumped out at me is everybody, almost to a person or to a response, was concerned about the environment. Of everything that they could have been concerned about, diversity, inclusion, belonging, the one thing that they were all very concerned about was how an organization treats the environment. And I know that intrinsically because we have started to educate, and we have started to educate at an early age about what we need to do to protect our planet. I was just really surprised that was the thing that jumped to the top.
That's amazing.
Of the data of the research that we did.
That would not be an expected outcome that I
was
think.
Shocked.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Well,
I'm like, okay, so let's do something about it.
But that's the other thing is it goes back to the conversation about expected profits and what are you doing to either save the planet or make money? Because a lot of times it's orthogonal.
Yeah. What do you think about that new advertisement by Apple about the planet? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay, so
Mother Nature, right?
So literally, Mother Nature
okay.
comes down to do
I have
an
seen
audit
that.
on them.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
she does an ESG audit.
That's right. And it was actually part of the last Apple announcement.
Right.
Yes. I think Apple has been leading in trying to be as green as possible, given the fact that they're also pushing us to be one of the most gross consumers of electronics and technology that includes batteries and other things that are not recyclable, but they're trying to make strides to do it. But it's still a consumer culture. We want the latest iPhone. We want the latest Apple Watch. We want the latest AirPods or whatever they're called.
And,
I just ordered my iPhone 15, so.
And we've got those shareholders to be accountable to. So, hey.
I'm a good consumer. And I'm a shareholder. But I'm not looking to get rich on it. I put my money where my mouth is. I believe in this company, and I have for decades, maybe 4 or 5 decades. As long as I've been alive, as long as they've been alive, I've been an Apple fan. In fact, my first Apple computer was an Apple II Plus back in 1979. So I've been a big believer of them. Has that changed because they're green? No, but I'm more proud of them. I'm more proud of buying their products and services because they're more green and because they are empathetic about what's going on with the planet. Products that they make are very destructive to the product, by the way. So, all the processes they have in China, God knows what they're doing to the environment in China. So, am I proud of them? Yeah, but I'm still buying the next iPhone, so.
Me too. Well, maybe not the next one.
Right.
I have an iPhone 12 right now, so I'm 3 generations behind.
I skip. I go to 13, 15, 17.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. To that point, though, and it's a really important one, I think, does that generation that's taking over from us, do they change corporate culture to focus on the right things, to care about the right things, and to do the right things? Are they going to push us there? And are they going to do it in enough time to save the freaking planet?
I believe they will. I really believe they will. This generation has grown up with just lots of challenges, and I think they are. I think they're not going to back down. And I am cheering them on, and I am ready to help educate them and help them learn what they need to learn, help them be good business people, and to help them be good stewards.
I pray that's enough to save this freaking planet because we don't have another one to go to. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So not to end on a really somber
I don't know.
note.
We can go to Mars. I mean, Musk is supposed to take us to Mars, so
I have to get my cryogenic.
that might be our option, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think I have enough years left for that.
I'm joking. But, yes.
Nothing against Elon. I'm sure he has a great plan for that in his head. But he'll have to fix Twitter before fix X before that
I'm really
happens.
hopeful for this next generation. I'm excited about what I see. These are my kids, my consulting kids and my literal kids who are starting to take over, and they're asking a lot of the right questions.
They've put a different lens on the problems in HR, I think, and they're saying some of these things don't work. And why are we doing it that way? And how do we upend that? And I mean, it's going to take a little time, but I wouldn't be surprised if I think that's going to happen a lot more quickly than we're going to have robots working in HR.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's simultaneous. Because I think, to Susan's point before, they're going to say, I don't want to do this shit. Let the robots do it.
Yeah.
And then they're going to eliminate the stuff that the robots are doing, and we're just not going to do that stuff anymore.
We've tried that in the past. You know what we got told? This is the way we've always done it. Remember, I was a change agent, and they told me, no, we can't do that. We've got to do it this way.
Yeah.
So on that note, anything else we want to end with? Any other things you think might be coming down the road that you found from either your research or from the brilliant work you do with clients?
I think the pace of change is going to continue to accelerate. You know, we've gone from a handful of enterprise changes a year to now I think it's like 16 changes per year per organization. And I think that flywheel has really begun to turn. And yes, I think COVID was an accelerator. And I don't think there's any going back. And I think it's just going to get faster.
And that's going to burn people out faster.
And we will continue to see Gen X, the boomers, and the greatest generation exit the workforce in even higher numbers and higher percentages, making space for our millennials and our Gen Zs and the generation coming up after them.
If they can afford it, if we have Social Security funded enough, and if their 401ks to have any money, because some of them have to work because they've lost it all in a couple of their recessions and a couple of their problems. So on that note,
see, here I was trying to turn this around and give us a little hope.
On that note, back to the studio. No, that's a joke from those people who've watched British television, a motoring show. Anyways, thank you very much, Sapient Insights, Susan, Teri. Love having you on. You guys are awesome. And I love the fact that you're totally color coordinated for Sapient. It's wonderful.
Powerful pink.
Yeah.
Powerful pink. That is awesome.
Thank you, David. We appreciate it.
Thank you too. Take care and stay safe.
That was the HR Data Labs podcast. If you liked the episode, please subscribe. And if you know anyone that might like to hear it, please send it their way. Thank you for joining us this week, and stay tuned for our next episode. Stay safe.